I'm Sherri, a CEO, speaker, coach, and author. As a business leader, I'm on a mission to empower women everywhere to embrace their most authentic self by challenging what you already know, then stretch to consider a different perspective. I share moments with people all over the world who are already on that path and are willing to share that perspective with me. Join me as we transparently consider this. Hey everybody, it's Sherri Sanjurjo. Welcome to the PrettyGirlsWork podcast, Consider This, where we explore conversations with women to empower you to be your most authentic self, practically, in your personal and professional lives. As women, there's a lot for us to consider. Like, do I need to code switch or be someone else to climb the corporate ladder? Or can I start my own business and bring my whole self to work? So much to consider. We will challenge you to open your mind, to think differently, and consider this. Let's go. Today, when I tell you, you're in for a treat, because our show today, we're going to be talking about how to be our most authentic self in business. Specifically, us as Black women in business, there's a lot that we need to be empowered to do. There's barriers, there's biases, there's obstacles, there's all kinds of things that we're bombarded with, and sometimes we don't know how to navigate. They're put in our way for different reasons, and we're not going to go into those reasons today. But what we are going to do is talk about how do we start believing in ourselves as entrepreneurs or as just career-based women. How do we really believe in ourselves to be able to take I call them faith steps, so that we can dream big and attain big things, as well as maintain, thrive, and do well within business, break financial ceilings. You feel me? We're going to be talking about it. And then here's the other question. How do we do that in a pandemic? Let me tell you, I've got the right person on the show today, this young Black queen. And I'm just going to read this introduction because I don't want to mess it up. This young Black queen is no joke. When it comes to making moves in the business world, not only is she a business-savvy entrepreneur who has been showcased in Forbes, has a degree from McMaster, has recently met with the premier to speak about small businesses and entrepreneurs, but is also an author. Come on, somebody. She's also stunningly beautiful and resourceful and in great demand. And I could go on and on about her, but I'd rather just get into this conversation and let y'all get to know her for yourself. Her name is Ms Moy Henry. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon, Sherri, and hello to the PrettyGirlsWork Network. Thank you guys
for work, chat. What we do. Yeah.
Thank you so blessed for this opportunity.
Oh, we're the blessed ones to have you. So we want to get into it because, being an entrepreneur, being a woman of color, being in business, even all of that, you know what I mean? There's just so many layers to it. But the first thing I want to know is, I find it interesting when I meet other women and other Black women as well, entrepreneurs. And one of the things I always ask is, what's your passion? Like, how did you find your passion? Because when I meet women, there's a difference between someone who's got a really good a business owner and someone who's passionate about what they're doing. So I guess one of my first questions for you would be, how did you find out what you were passionate about? How did you find that? Was there a mentor involved? What was that process like?
I've been a business owner or an entrepreneur since I was like 12, 13 years old.
Get out of here.
I was creating menus and graphics for local businesses in the community. And I didn't really see myself as an entrepreneur. I just saw myself as providing a need or providing a service to solve a problem.
Okay.
I think is my passion. I'm a problem solver, and I am drawn to challenges that I can work to resolve. And I think that has, carried carried with me into my business practice and how I navigate the world. I look at everything as an opportunity, and challenges that arise, I look at them as, issues. Things are made to come up so you can solve them or fix them.
Yeah.
And what's made me passionate or made me, convinced of this being my destiny or my purpose is, I'm always in a position where I almost feel like, why me, or like, why did this happen? And then I think that it's just overall work to enhance me and make me a very resilient, resourceful person, because there's nothing that I haven't seen at this point in business, in life, in most things.
Wow. And you're so young still, my God. So even to say that you've experienced so much and it's helped you become resilient, we're going to talk about that in a minute too, because I think that is a key element in being able to get through something like a pandemic and be able to thrive, resiliency. And sometimes we don't like to build resiliency because what we have to go through to get that resilient, skill to be built. But I love the fact that you said that you started young. Did you have parents? Did you have a mentor that like said, yeah, go ahead? Like what type of atmosphere were you in to to even know, like, I've got a solution to a problem and I'm just going to offer it. You know what I mean? At 12.
That's such a good question. My parents are both immigrants to Canada, and they both have like an entrepreneurial spirit, more so than my dad. And growing up in, Rexdale, Ontario, which is where I'm from, but big up Rexdale. We had to be resourceful when it came to finding money to pay the bills and just overall survival, because we're coming from a small country called Jamaica, where, resources are limited, money is resilient, but food was always on the table. So you now come into an environment and ecosystem where money is not always available. Resources and networks are limited, but you have to get creative to provide food on the table. Yeah. So I watched my parents struggle. I watched them get creative, and then it lit a fire in me where I became a problem solver, and I became strong by my challenges, not weakened. And so I'd say my mentor to start really was like my dad. And then I had some really amazing teachers, like my grade 1 teacher, Mrs. Matthews, all the way up to like my grade 8 teacher, Mrs. Pashley, who taught me the violin and classical music. I knew that I wanted to go to a performing arts high school, because a lot of the friends that I had close to me, they went to a local high school, but my dad was so convinced that, my future would be deferred if I went to that high school because of, the reputation it had. So my parents were really, really, really supportive of me going to a performing arts high school where I learned classical piano and the viola. And
right now, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
I never knew that about you.
I know. So I ended up.
What facts about Amoye? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I ended up being a classically trained pianist and violist. I went to a Tobago School of the Arts, and then here I was, this only Black girl from Rexdale, in this all-white school, and I had to learn how to be resilient there as well. And then I started my businesses. I started things. It's not a private school; it is public, but the costs were a bit different from a public school environment.
Yeah.
And I had to pay for additional music school lessons. My parents were. Just fix this hair in my eye. My parents were very, supportive of that. And, I ended up like doing a little bit of a newspaper route while I was still doing the graphic design business. And by the time I was like 15, I went to McDonald's, and I wasn't even think I was allowed to work there, but I somehow finessed and got a job at McDonald's. And then when I was 16, I got my car. So then I went and got more jobs. Like I would just pick up any job I could, because I had this goal that I was going to buy a house in my 20s, and I was going to like help my mom out of her mortgage. And I had these like super illustrious thoughts at 16, 17.
Wow.
I was going to save the Black community. I was going to do everything.
But you know what? I love it. I love it. Can I interrupt you for a second?
Absolutely.
I love the fact that, that's one thing, because I'm hearing resilience being built as you're talking, because here you are at 12 and you've got a paper route, and I'm doing this graphic designing, and I'm also going to this school, becoming a classic pianist and violist. And it's like there's a lot of moving parts going on. But what I heard you also say is you saw your parents, who were immigrants, come to this country and make a life, and show you how it wasn't easy. And so for you, when you see this, you're like, okay, they made that happen. They made that happen, so I can make it happen. So when you're 12 years old, here you are going, I'm going to get a paper out, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do, but I love the fact that you had a goal.
Absolutely.
You have a goal.
I've always been like long-term vision goal, but also short-term practical in terms of how am I going to get there.
Yes.
So that's like a really good skill set that I realized I had really through this MBA program, because sometimes leaders are visionaries and they have these long-term goals, but then they hire managers or they hire more tactical staff that can deliver on the short-term pieces to achieve those long-term goals.
Right.
I had both skill sets. So I'm a visionary, but I'm also a very strong manager.
I love it. And so let's just, you're giving me so many nuggets. You're giving me nuggets. You're dropping gems.
You're giving gems.
You're giving gems, because we need to understand that short-term goals are a part of your vision. And a lot of people just see vision and what you just said, don't have a team that knows how to do the short term to get to the vision. A lot of times it's key. It's key who your squad is and who your tribe or team.
Absolutely.
That is key. Because if you don't have, like you just said, the skills that you just had, like you acquired the managerial skills as well as having the visionary skills. Not everybody is ambidextrous like yourself, but if you are, wonderful. But if you're not, man, get your team together. Absolutely. And understand that those short-term goals. So I'm going to get these little jobs, going back to what we were talking about. I'm going to get these little jobs because these are the short-term goals, because eventually I'm going to buy a house. You know what I mean? I love that. So you talked about your mentors, and I love the fact that you're like, my dad, my teacher, this. Did you look for mentors, or was it something where you just saw people with certain skills that you want and you were like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to gravitate.
That is such a good question. So in my adulthood now, I actively seek out mentors. I actively reach out to people in the same way I, reach out for business opportunities, because I feel like a good mentor is a gateway to 10 business opportunities or deals.
Word.
So when I was younger, though, I didn't understand the magnitude or the power of mentors. And I also didn't understand the magnitude and power of relationships. So I got into a lot of issues with people, because I've always been a person of integrity and doing things the right way and being truthful and honest. And I would come into situations where people always didn't mirror that. And then I would butt heads, because I was always about justice and doing what's right and doing what's fair. And sometimes, in business, I never really encountered that. So now in my adulthood, I've been introduced to mentors who have climbed certain heights in corporate Canada or in their professions or in their business. And they didn't do so by creating a stink every time. Sometimes you have to know which battles to fight. You have to know, what's worth your energy. And
fights. Yes.
And if I was younger, if I had applied some of those principles in my younger days, I think I would have saved myself a couple of gray hairs that I have now. I could potentially gone further, but I'm super grateful for where I am today. In my younger days, my mentors were people that I didn't even know were my mentors, Elon Musk. I always talk about Elon Musk. Warren Buffett, when I first got into trading stocks when I was 21, 22. People like Oprah Winfrey. I know the Black community's kind of canceled her, but I'll never cancel her. Sorry.
Never.
Michelle Obama. I have indirect mentors that have inspired me, and their life practices have, been a huge part of my life too, and how I choose to navigate certain things.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think that that's really key because there are times where, especially in this social media world, there's so many, like Gary Vee. I've been following that guy for years when it comes
I
to.
love Gary Vee.
I
He is
love Gary Vee.
amazing.
He is, yo,
So in your face, he's so honest.
he's so mad honest. He's so authentic. And anybody who's authentic, regardless of how they say it, I gravitate to that because there's truth there, there's nuggets there, and I love the fact that like Michelle Obama, or you may meet these people, you may never meet these people, but their life and their business practices can mentor you, inspire you, give you direction. I love that. So let's just continue in this vein of like, here's what I want to know, and I know so many people want to know as well, especially in a pandemic. Like finding a mentor is definitely a skill that I think everyone needs to have. And I also feel like that because I've seen people in my life that has said, can you mentor me? And others that I've been like, I want this person to be in my life to mentor me because of business reasons as well. And I feel like not a lot of times do we gravitate to people for mentorship in business, in a business sense. We do it more personal based. Can you mentor me? Because I need a life coach, or I need encouragement, and I need, spiritual guidance or whatever it is. But in regards to business, we'll keep people at a distance because we're afraid if I give you my idea, you're going to take it and run with it. Or if I share something with you, will you look at me crazy or whatever it is? How do we find really good, and how do we build relationships with mentors that will open those business opportunities maybe for us, or introduce us to people, and without it sounding like I'm being opportunistic, because I don't want to come across like, get to know this person for this reason, but I do want us to think beyond just, can you tell me how to, keep my relationship together, like beyond.
How do you find business mentors? You have to be strategic, first of all, but you also have to know what you want. You can't go to a mentor and expect them to do the work for you. They're only supposed to amplify what you're doing or help suggest things or help encourage you. So I think the best thing that anybody could do to start is be a mentor to themselves first.
Nice.
Right? Be a mentor to yourself first. Bring value to yourself. So kind of one of the things that I've been like known to do and that I've loved doing over the years is creating vision boards and creating like steps and processes to achieve those visions each year. And then I would assign hypothetical people to help me look over those categories in my life.
Love it.
My vision board for 2020 before COVID was, there were 4 pillars, 4 pillars in my life that I was really focused on.
Okay.
Academics, because I just started my MBA program, business and finances, connections and professional development. And I know that sounds very much like academic and business and finances, but it's
different. Yeah.
And health and well-being. So I used these 4 pillars to design my life and the different things that I wanted to do. So every single activity or every single, all my energy has gone into one of those 4 pillars.
Okay.
When it came to academics, I needed a strong mentor. So I found a woman who's a professor. She's also a PhD, and she was trying to convince me to do my PhD underneath her. Any research that I did, any type of articles that I wrote, anything that I did that could kind of amplify the business development, business research work that I was doing, I ran it by her, and she became my mentor by proxy. I didn't even ask her. I didn't even come to her and say, I need you. I literally just high level, this is what I'm doing, and I would love to have your support. And then she started to just volunteer ideas and say stuff because she believed in me. So I didn't have to ask her. She just believed in me. And now she'll refer to me as, hey, my mentee Amoye is doing this. Could you please support her? Like, she advocates for me.
That's awesome.
When it comes to business finances, I have 2 really strong mentors in this. And I don't think I asked for them, but I paid for their services. And I invested in them. And that investment in them was an investment in me long term.
Okay.
So I have 2 financial advisors, Ladine and Cole and Nicole Williams. They're both incredible Black women in finances and business, and they help me to get my accounting and finances on track. Like, my life is super, super documented. Wherever I spend my money, I keep track of it. I know what I'm investing in. I know what my investment portfolio is. I have life insurance, home insurance, every type of insurance, and have a long-term plan because I invested in these services, and now these women have, as a result, become my informal mentors.
Wow.
On the finance or the professional development side, I really was, working in corporate Canada and healthcare for 8 years. I never really felt like I had mentors. I had bosses that I would go to support, and whenever I needed new jobs, I would get reference letters from them, but I didn't maintain the relationships. So once I became an entrepreneur in 2018 full time, I needed relationships to do big things. I needed to do big things. So I needed big clients and I needed big contracts. So how can I get credibility unless I work for a big organization? So one of my mentors worked at one of the top 5 banks in Canada. She was a number 2 at the top 5 banks in Canada. And I found out that she has a nonprofit organization and she's doing work. Well, I have experience running a nonprofit for 10 years. So I volunteered myself and offered services to help scale her nonprofit. And in my volunteering and in my selfless reaching out to her to support her, she in exchange came back and started to support me and provide me with large contracts and large opportunities. Right?
So,
and gave me the ability.
So it's strategy. It's strategy.
But it's also being willing to do the work and being willing to know what my vision is. Like, if I had not made a plan for myself under these 4 pillars and identified what focus areas I wanted to target this year, I don't think the universe and God would have brought these people to my life.
No.
Or had revealed to me that these people are who I need to work with. On the, I think, wellness and health well-being side, this has been a great year professionally, financially, but on a spiritual, mental level, also a very devastating year.
Yes.
Mentally has been draining, exhausting, super depressing from times, and mental health for entrepreneurs is kind of up and down.
It's a roller coaster.
My experience, like I've been very, I haven't had the best mental health during COVID-19. On account of business deals going bad, relationships falling apart, and certain things just getting messed up because of COVID. So plans that I had fallen through. So I knew that if I was going to prioritize my mental health and well-being and get to a state of balance and complete mental stability, I needed a mentor or I needed support. So I invested in a career counselor who's also a therapist. And what she does is she helps me align my spiritual
and your mental,
my spiritual and mental strategy and approach to life with my business and all my other affairs. So they're in alignment and they feed off of each other. So if I'm doing well in business, my mental is also doing well. Or if I'm, having a tough mental time, I've found ways to compartmentalize it and put certain things on hold so I can prioritize getting my mental back up. So those 4 key areas have been my pillars, but all the people, I've invested in them and then they've invested in me.
Yeah. And so I love the fact that if everybody's listening to this, then hear this really clearly. Before you get a mentor, know what you want.
Know what you can bring.
Have a vision. Yeah. Know what you want. Have a vision and make sure that you're specific, because I'm hearing Amoye, and Amoye was like, I had 4 areas. Be specific. Don't just be like, I need a mentor. A mentor for what? A mentor for what area of your life? And specifically, what is that goal that you're trying to achieve in that area of your life? Come on, somebody. That's deep. That is so, and vision boarding. Listen, when you said that, I wanted to just run in the house because I'm a vision boarder. I love, you can listen, I don't even care if you have a canvas, go on Pinterest. You don't have to actually have a physical board, even though I like that way. And I love having vision board parties. But whether you have that or not, go on Pinterest and develop what you can have a plethora of boards, right? But see it and put specifics to it. And I love the fact that you said as well, with one of your mentors, you invested in them. and then it turned. So sometimes in even looking for a mentor or praying for or looking for or desiring a mentor, you're going to have to, as you said, put the work out and maybe invest as well. I love that. I love all of that. Girl, you know, we could go on and on. I want to just get to these questions as well.
Yes, because I feel like I've like talked through like
no, I love it.
Questions so far. So let me not
stop this. Listen, we're on track. Okay, we're good. So here's another thing that I this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because you're an author. You have developed a book called, I can't remember what it's called. Do you have it? Do you have
it? In COVID.
There we go. And I think that
thank you for supporting my book, by the way.
Of course, anytime. The minute I saw it, I was like, purchase. And I really think it's important that people understand that even when times are unpredictable, right, and uncertain, there are always going to be opportunities. It's a perspective. How can we thrive? How can we? And I say this because I think about business women, and specifically Black business women, but just business women, period, over the years. You know, when we think about things that we've ever had to overcome over the years, period, right? So we've always had obstacles. We've always had to go through things or overcome things, or there's been adversity in some way, shape, or form that we've had to go through. Madam C.J. Walker, stuff like, we're so many examples.
Yeah.
And so I sit back and go, okay, so what do we have to know in order to say, come hell or high water, I'm going to thrive, and not just get by? Because I think that sometimes we have this mentality of, okay, well, I'm maintaining this, and this is what I need to maintain. How do we get to that point where we have the faith enough to break that ceiling and say, I want more, I want bigger, I want to go harder, go home?
Yes. I 100% feel you. I think it's going to come down to your value proposition in your business. Mm-hmm. So thinking through, like, what is it that your business creates? What's the problem that you're trying to solve? And has the environment or the market changed? And obviously a lot of businesses, sorry, my glasses are on the slant. A lot of businesses have had to adapt to COVID. And what does this new market look like? Yeah. If you're a restaurant, are you still serving people in that stop in, or have you pivoted now to online and takeout? Are you on Uber Eats? Are you on Skip Dishes?
Right.
If you're a business consultant and you depended on nonprofit grants or organizations to hire you on to come in and do speaking engagements, have you pivoted to creating an online presence? Is your website up to date? Is your social media up to date?
Come on.
Right? If you're a hairdresser or you're a service provider in the beauty and aesthetics industry that had a brick and mortar and now you can no longer open your doors, have you created a mobile service?
Let's go.
You've been able to optimize your PPE production line so you can make sure that your personal protective equipment is up to date and up to standards to be able to walk into people's house and still provide those services. People still want to feel good. People still want to look good. Are you mobile? Are you adapting? And so I think the question about if you're thriving or if you're doing well in this is really going to come down to you and what you feel for yourself, what you feel is important and what you feel is critical. I have friends who have made 6 figures this year, who have never touched that kind of money in life, who've never seen any of that type of money before because of, the civil unrest by the death of King George, right? And then we have, COVID funding and all these relief programs, and people are really taking advantage of them and really using them to their best potential. You're at home. You save time now. You don't have to go to traffic. A lot of
traveling,
in the service industries or who don't work in the trades. You actually can do so much more with so much time.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I think about when I think about the concept of thrive, it's like you've gained so much more time, and in the sense as well, not really, because sometimes all these meetings we jam pack our days and then we end up super overwhelmed. Yeah. But we also have gained so much insight. Who are we talking to on a daily basis? What are we consuming? And that information is going to be vital to, the next wave of businesses that are created in this era. So for me, what I would say to anybody that's looking to thrive is do a really strong environmental scan of your market audience. Engage with your users, engage with your clientele, send them surveys. People are at home, they'll fill out their surveys. Market research, it's a good time to do market research now and connect with your audiences, schedule phone calls.
Yeah.
Understand what the gaps are and how you can fill them. I've seen like a company, I did an interview for HBC Bank in September, and we had like the top 5, companies in Canada, top 5 companies in Canada who had to pivot, and they've gone from creating, certain types of businesses to PPE, so personal protective wear.
Yeah.
And, there's a woman who has a hotel in, I want to say it was in Alberta or Saskatchewan. And instead of shutting down her hotel, she's created a partnership with the federal government now where she houses homeless people.
Come on.
Shelters and all of these things have had to shut down. So she, got some funding from the federal government to create a program to support them. And now her company is sustainable. She has her employees are still working, although her workforce had to go down by, I think, 10-15%. They're still working.
But they're still working. And what she has in the sense, it's got really dark in here. I'm so sorry. But what she has is still a service that can be offered, and when things turn around, she can go back to what she was.
Exactly, but she's now opened up herself to another demographic, and she's doing something to actually help. So I think people are thinking along the concept of build back better.
Yeah,
so thinking about building back and building bigger, but also think about building better. The status quo that we lived within before, the means by which we lived in before, the powers that be that we lived in before, COVID has put a microscope on the world and forced us to look at ourselves and the businesses that we support differently. And we're building back better. And I do believe, I do strongly believe that Black businesses by diverse people, by women, will come out even stronger. Right, because people have recognized that we make such important contributions to the Canadian GDP.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about thinking about how can you design your value proposition to better service your market, connect more intimately with your customer, your large customer base, and use your products or use your services or your company to better service their needs.
There you go. I like that. You just answered the next question, because I was going to say, what kind of business habits can we shift and change? But you just answered it. And if you're listening to this podcast or watching this video on YouTube, listen to her, because honestly, it is so key. Pivoting. I remember even my own business, we do a lot of face-to-face because I do a lot of youth program. We had to pivot and go online. Yeah. At this point in time right now, real talk, this is a real thing. Like, we're looking into like $500,000, and I'm not doing numbers or anything, but I'm just saying there is a need, there is a value that we said we still offer value. There's still a need there. We just have to find a way to give it and deliver it in a different way. And so it's really just shifting your thinking to do something different. Same desire to help. The same needs are out there. It's just, how do I deliver that? How do I deliver that in a more relevant and practical way? And it requires us pivoting. Okay, last question, because it looks like it's going to be midnight in this house right now.
Oh man, it's getting dark. I know it's not even 5 yet where I'm at, and it's so dark.
It's so dark. So listen, here's a question that I think that a lot of people would love to know about in respect to yourself. Someone who's already experienced, like we said, success, as well as helped others. Let me just let you know, you help others gain millions of dollars. Okay, so and I know that you're just a very positive person as well. So that's another thing it's a blessing, right? Because I just feel like just negativity breeds negativity, positivity breeds positivity as well. I really believe that. So what would you say is like a daily affirmation or a daily habit that you did or that you do that we could leave with those that are listening that they might be able to do themselves to start shifting and considering things differently? What is or is something that you can help these wonderful business owners out here?
So my affirmations change daily.
Mm-hmm.
And I wake up and I write 3 things I'm grateful for every day in my journal. And at night before I go to sleep, I also write 3 people or things that I'm grateful for as well. So like closing off my day with that cognizance of what I appreciated that went well helps to inspire the next day. And so my thoughts are clearer. I also try not to check my emails until like 9 or 10 a.m. because I want to make sure that I've ingested fruits, I've ingested water, and my energy is prepared for the day and whatever will get thrown my way. So I try to think in those terms.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the fact that you are grateful. I think that is something that not only is it just practical, it's something that for your mental, for your spiritual, can I say as well, for your physical as well.
Absolutely.
You will have less stress when we are more grateful.
Woo, come on.
The stress will leave. When I have to sit back and think about, oh God, the bills and the this and the that, this causes anxiety. Anxiety causes depression. Depression gives me headaches, stomach ulcers, physically. But it's saying, you know what? I'm so grateful that I have this house to live in.
Amen.
I'm so grateful that I have healthy family and friends. I'm so grateful that I can go to the fridge and open it. It might not be stacked, but I've got food that I can put some flour and water and come on, make a dumpling. Come on.
Yes, we give thanks. We give thanks. Like, and I'm grateful that my grandparents are still alive and healthy. My parents are still alive and healthy, and they have jobs, and hopefully we'll retire them soon. But you know what I mean? Like, all these things to be grateful for. At the end of the day, business is not the end of the world. And I've been really playing with this idea of how do I just generate so much passive income so I don't even have to do business.
Yeah.
So I don't have to deal with things, and I can just connect with people.
When you're ready.
I love relationships. Like that's so key to me.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much.
I love you, and I'm so grateful.
I love you. I love your heart. I love your mind. I love your spirit. How can people get in touch with you? Where can they find you? Where can they get this book? Talk to me.
Yes, so the new book, and it's going to be crazy, but the first one was called Navigating COVID. This next one is tentatively called Pivoting, How to Thrive in Business. So that's why I loved how you were mentioning thrive, because it's called Pivot, how to thrive, how to build businesses that thrive during COVID-19.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a very short, easy read. Again, my hope is to do it in partnership with a particular bank that has come forward to say they really believe in this. So that's coming out very soon. I'm hoping at the beginning of the year. I actually have a trip planned in the next couple of weeks, so I just want to take some time to veg out and work on the book while I'm away.
Good.
People can find me on my Instagram, Amoye Henry, on my Twitter, Amoye Henry, on my website, amoyehenry.com.
There we go.
And I don't think I have Facebook, but last time I went on Facebook, I don't even know how many years.
So thank you so much. I want you guys to reach out. I cannot wait for that new book to drop. I will be getting it again. Listen, the minute it drops, I'm like, I need my copy. And we usually like to leave everyone with one compelling thought. If there is one thought that you can leave everyone with, what would that captivating or compelling thought be that you would want them to consider?
Your mind is your instrument. Use it to make a beautiful song.
Yay! Thank you so much, Amoye. Listen, thank you for being a part of the conversation here. I love you.
I love you too. I love you so much too. Thank you.
Thank you, honey. I just want to leave this with you guys. Growing in business is a process. It's a journey, and it takes time to plan, your success path, but no goal is too big to achieve and too far away to not grasp. Dream big.
Dream big.
Dream big. Until next time, this is what we want you to consider. Consider this. Bye, guys. Bye, Moy. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Take care, guys.